Thanks for tuning in to the Southern Fruitcast. This podcast aims to cover the people, technology, and latest developments in small fruit production in the Southeast.
We are brought to you by the Southern Region Small Fruit Consortium and the University of Arkansas System Division of Agriculture.
I'm Dr. Aaron Cato, Extension Specialist for Commercial Fruit and Vegetable IPM at the University of Arkansas.
And I'm Dr. Amanda McWhirt, Extension Production Specialist for Fruits and Vegetables, also at the University of Arkansas. Welcome back to the Southern Fruitcast. Today we have with us Dr. Imran Ali. He's a plant pathologist at the Department of Plant Pathology in the University of Georgia. He received his master's and PhD degrees in molecular plant pathology at Ehime, a university in Japan. And then following a brief postdoctoral stint at the same institution, he completed additional postdoctoral trainings at Ohio State University and at Washington State University. He's currently the director of the Plant Molecular Diagnostic Lab at the University of Georgia. And today he came on to talk with us about what that lab can offer, specifically with fungicide resistance testing support that they offer in strawberries. Imran, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you very much for having me in your podcast.
Sounds good. All right, Imran. So let's get started on questions. I think it would be an excellent idea if we were to start off giving some more information about fungicide resistance. Could you please explain what fungicide resistance is and how it develops in pesticides and why we care so much about it?
Thank you, Aaron. That's a really very good question. Fungicides are important tools for managing diseases in modern crop production. Unfortunately, one of the risks for using fungicide is the fungi sometimes develop resistance to them, which leading to lost disease control and unnecessary expenses by applying products that no longer work. Fungicide resistance mainly occur gradually or sometimes suddenly. In general, fungicide with a single side mode of action are higher risk for resistant development. If a single mode of action fungicide people use or used alone for a long time, it's more likely to develop resistance against fungicide. In an orchard, resistance sometimes may occur naturally, even never applied a fungicide before. But over the time, the resistant population grow. That scenario actually teaches us that again and again, the same product, same fungicide will make the products no longer active against the certain pathogen. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Imran. I think that was an excellent answer.
So when we talk about resistance to different fungicide classes, can you talk a little bit about how we understand if resistance to one specific product or active ingredient will also mean resistance to another product or active ingredient?
Yeah, I think that's also a very important question. Thank you for asking me this question. Yes, fungicides are generally classified according to their mode of action, or numeric, we call FRAC code. That's the reason for doing this is to facilitate the resistant management. Fungal pathogens that are resistant to one active ingredient or fungicide often resistant to different active ingredient within the same FRAC code that has similar types of mode of action. This we normally refer as cross resistance. I can give you one real world example. When you find resistance develop for a certain isolate in your field to azoxystrobin, like strobilurin fungicide, all other strobilurin fungicide like pyraclostrobin or trifloxystrobin, EDC will likely have no activity against this isolate as well.
Thanks, Imran. And so now let's move more specifically about fungicide uses within strawberries. I think everyone that's listening currently knows that strawberries are at a very high risk of significant yield loss due to the many diseases that affect the flowers and fruit of strawberries. So could you talk a little bit more about which diseases or the pathogens that cause them that are exhibiting resistance in the Southeast that may be problematic for growers?
Yes, I think that's something really we all need to be very aware about, that who is related to strawberry production system. The fungal diseases are considered the major threat for the strawberry production in the Southeast. Even in well-managed field, losses from the fungal diseases can exceed almost 50% when environmental conditions favor for the disease development. So anthracnose fruit rot caused by Colletotrichum and the botrytis or gray mold that caused by botrytis pathogen are the most significant diseases for the strawberry production in the Southeast. Interestingly, this is not only Southeast, these two are the major problem worldwide for the citrus production. Mm-hmm. Some other diseases like you can say like fungal leaf spot or bacterial leaf scross, leaf blight, powdery mildew are also seen in the strawberry production field in the Southeast.
And so just to kind of bring it home for the people that are listening, what can growers or extension agents do to prevent fungicide resistance from occurring on their farms, especially when we talk about anthracnose or gray mold?
I think that is also a very good question in terms of management issue. In general, to prevent the fungicide resistant issue, growers need to focus using multi-site fungicide instead the single mode of action fungicide, or rotating as many different frag groups into their fungicide program as possible. We know there is not a lot of option in out, but as much as we can to rotate this single mode of action fungicide would be very great help for managing this issue. Also, we can do tank mixture with different mode of action fungicide we can put together and apply. That will also help to reduce the fungicide resistant issue. There will be also another way we can do the good cultural practices that help us to manage this issue, like we can maintain the proper sanitation, weed control, scheduled irrigation, and row spacing, etc. I think might help to make the disease pressure low in your field, as well as the disease fungicide resistant issue will be down.
Yeah, I think those are very important, aspects of disease management. When we talk about a single site mode of action, these all work in concert, like they're different sites of modes of action, right?
That's true.
Yeah. So if you're not going to select as easily if you're integrating all these cultural practices alongside your fungicides.
That's correct. Yeah.
And so let's move more specifically on what you do, right? So at the Plant Molecular Diagnostic Lab at Georgia, y'all work to identify whether growers are dealing with fungicide resistance on their farms. And can you talk more about why classifying resistance at that farm level is important for growers?
I think, that's a very interesting question, because if you maintain the classifying resistance at the farm level, it will be very important tool or to avoid the further spreading of fungicide resistance. Let's say if you buy a plant materials or plants from a nursery, many times the pathogen also move along with the plant or materials, whatever you buy from a certain nursery. If this pathogen have fungicide resistant issue in this previous nursery or orchard, then there will be a similar fungicide resistant issue in the new farm too. That's why the clean plant materials are the critical for reducing disease pressure, as well as minimizing the fungicide resistant problem. In other crop system, I saw frequently people are making sure, buying their materials or plant materials, they make sure their product, whatever they're purchasing, are the disease-free or pathogen-free. In that way, actually, we can maintain less fungicide-resistant issue in our production system.
Yeah, I think those are all very important, aspects of it. And I wanted to bring it back to something you said earlier. You talked about, using a fungicide that won't work and how that's a waste of money, right? And so
that's true.
And so if someone was to send you samples and determine, say, maybe Elevate may not work on my farm, and then that grower could potentially just avoid using Elevate and use other modes of action or FRAC code fungicides. And that way they save money by not wasting an application, right? And in the meantime, if they wasted that application, then the potential for the disease to build up or the pathogens to build up and get worse in their fields.
That's absolutely correct.
All right, Imran, we just have one more question for you. So currently the Southern Region Small Fruit Consortium, which is one of our sponsors on the podcast, is also provided support for growers to send in samples to your lab for free of charge until the funds have been exhausted to do some of this testing. So could you talk a little bit more about what growers will need to do to get you all a sample to determine if they have resistance in botrytis or anthracnose?
Yeah, thank you so much. Such a practical question. I think this is a very important question in terms of the service we are providing. That's nicely explained. Our program allows for a single location in the Southeast that can provide fungicide resistant testing support for the multiple strawberry pathogen against multiple fungicide. The ultimate goal for our program is to provide support to the growers and crop advisor. Then they can able to establish a management protocol for their production system. This program actually very crucial to guide growers in the use of effective fungicide to reduce losses caused by fungicide resistance. The Southern Region Small Fruit Consortium, this year we have received funding to provide service free of charge to a small fruit producer in the member state. But we have funding limitation. The service we are providing until the funds run out. This will be completely fast come and the fast services. Mm-hmm. So a certain number of tests we can do, we are expecting all like related to state will send a sample, we can do free of testing service. But as soon as the fund run out, the producer will need to pay for the extra service. For sampling, the MDL accepts sample from preferably flowers, but we also accept sample from leaves, fruits. Even you can send us the cotton swab with just taking the spore from botrytis and send us those cotton swab. You can easily buy those cotton swab actually from the Walmart. You don't need to be concerned about autoclaving, all those things. You just simply buy those cotton swab from the Walmart and put in the G block and send us for testing. For the anthracnose rot sample, we only accept fruits with disease symptom. Please send us 15 to 20 freshly collected symptomatic sample. After collection of the sample, so what you need to do, you just place each sample an individual sealed plastic bag. Make sure like the specimen or the sample you are collecting, it are representing for the entire field, not just only some specific area. So that way we can make sure the result we are providing you, it will be very like a representative result for your orchard. And when you submit the sample, please make sure you are submitting the submission form with the all information we need. Especially we need your information, your email address, your phone number, or spraying history, what you sprayed last year or this year, the host species and sampling location. So all those information will be very valuable for us to making a very nice data that can be helpful for future fungicide resistant program management, very helpful tools. And be sure to send a sample via overnight delivery. We saw in last 2 years, sometimes people send sample in normal delivery that causes the sample degradation. So the result will be very different if the sample quality got degraded. So the more details about our sample submission and shipping address can be found on our website. You can visit the Plant Molecular Diagnostic Lab, University of Georgia. So all the information and the submission form is there. But still, if you need more information or if you have any trouble to get those forms, please don't hesitate. Just email or call us. We'll be happy to provide you more information if needed.
Yeah, thanks, Imran. And so I have a quick question. I did a little bit of sampling last year and sent some in. And so when you say 15 to 20 samples per field, you mean take 15 to 20 fruit or, especially if we're talking about anthracnose, individual fruit from different parts of the field, and then put those within individual sealed plastic bags and then ship those together, right? And that would be one field, right?
That's
Okay.
true. Yes, you are rightly. So we need to collect 15 to 20, but in the different spot and different seal bag. You are right. That's correct.
Okay, and I think I may have sent in one of the samples last year that was too degraded for you to look at, but it wasn't my fault. By the time I got the fruit from a grower, they were pretty bad looking. They really wanted to know, but we sent them overnight, and then by the time y'all got them, they were extra degraded. So.
Well, Imran, we want to thank you again for joining us today. This is some really important information for growers to have, especially where we're at in the season as we head into bloom. So thank you for joining us here on the Southern Fruitcast.
Again, thank you so much for inviting me. Such important topics to talk. And I hope the growers listening these things and will be sending us more samples, and we'll be happy to provide these services.
Of course. Thanks, Imran.
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to the Southern Fruitcast. Our episodes are hosted by Podbean and also can be accessed on the University of Arkansas's Extension website at uaex.edu/Southern Fruitcast. Here you can see all of our episodes and provide us feedback to help shape future episodes of this podcast.
We'd again like to thank the Southern Region Small Fruit Consortium for funding this podcast. The consortium provides a large library of production and integrated pest management resources at smallfruits.org. We'll be back again soon with more updates on the Southeast small fruit industry and interviews with specialists, researchers, and farmers from across the region.